morning, everybody. We're so happy you can join us this morning for our instructional update meeting for secondary principals. This is our first meeting. We're offering this because we've been asked by your district leaders to provide opportunities for you to have timely information, have the ability to ask questions, get to know our RESA staff, have opportunities for additional resources and information. And so we're going to be doing this monthly. If you're registered, you will get a follow-up with the recording and all of the information. So on that first slide, you'll see a QR code that will take you to a site that will house all of the slides and all of the resources from this meeting. So you don't have to worry about taking notes. You'll have access to everything. And a lot of the slides have linkable resources as well. So just know that you'll have access to all of this. I'm Mary Therese, and I'm going to get us kicked off. That's me. So why the update? I think we just talked about that. We want to make sure that you are also provided with timely information that your curriculum directors and superintendents are also getting, things that are relevant to you as instructional leaders of your building. So for our first kickoff meeting, we're going to start with access to our monthly update report. We have literacy updates, math, science, instructional coaching updates, knowing that many of you might have instructional coaches in your building, information about what that role can be and what that can look like, state and assessment accountability updates, supporting multilingual learners, and instructional technology. And I'm going to turn it over to Michelle Wagner, who's Director of Educational Services.
Good morning, everyone. We wanted to start just by acknowledging that October is National Principals Month, and we just want to recognize all of the work that you do and the fact that you even could take a few minutes out of your day-to-day to spend with us. We know that that's a sacrifice on your part. So thank you for all you do for students. We're so grateful for the work you do. We also want to share with you the Wayne RESA October update report. If this is not something you've seen before, that's perfectly fine, but this is something we create every month. It has updates from every department within Wayne RESA, and a lot of that information will apply to your roles as secondary principals. We have information about upcoming professional learning experiences, information about special education and administrative services, lots of pieces that you might be interested in. This comes out as a PDF each month, and we will make sure that we always link this on our site so that you have access. There may be pieces that you'd like to share with your media specialist or your science teachers. So we encourage you to flip through that and find those pieces that resonate with you. We also want to let you know that today's meeting and all of our update meetings will be recorded and shared as a YouTube link for anyone who's registered. So if you're ever not able to attend live, we will make sure that you receive that information in a virtual fashion so that you can watch it when it's convenient for you or listen on your way into work.
Good morning, everybody. As Michelle said, happy Principals Month. Thank you for all that you do. We are so grateful that you've made some time this morning to join us. So my name is Jeff Austin. I am one of the literacy consultants that focus on secondary spaces, along with Dr. Laura Gabrion and Dr. Rosalind Shahid. And I've got a few things to talk to you about today that might be of interest to you in the secondary literacy space. The first thing I would want to talk to you about today is our secondary coaching network that we've launched this year. We're really excited about this. We are 2 meetings in this year, and you can see some of the things that we're working on with coaches in middle schools and high schools. And I'm using coaches really, really generally here because we've also invited teacher leaders in, department chairs, folks like that who may not exactly have the title of coach, but are probably doing coaching work. So you can see that we're really working with the coaches on using the skills that they have to coach around disciplinary literacy, to think about project, problem, and place-based learning and how that can look within the context of disciplinary literacy. We're building capacity around secondary literacy initiatives and what that means. And we're also really thinking about assessment and data collection and data analysis in humanizing ways, so that we're taking asset-based approaches with teachers and asset-based approaches with kids when we talk about those things. So we're really excited about this. And these are, again, some of the things that we're doing. I did want to talk about this because we did a little survey data, and this is going to come back up later in this my section here. But we did a little survey and got a little data from the coaches and teacher leaders that are involved in our network. And what we found out is that we're about 50-50 on knowledge and training around the disciplinary literacy essentials. So some folks have been trained in the DLEs and some folks haven't been. But what we found is a pretty stark gap on the project, problem, and place-based learning front. So about 80% of our coaches really had no familiarity with 3P learning, as we're calling it. And 20% had some familiarity. So we're really working on this piece because we think that this is what, in its greatest form and its best form, disciplinary literacy and learning looks like in the secondary classroom. So we're really focused on some of these elements that you can see here. And this slide's really important because these terms are all over the place. And, depending on who you ask, you're going to get really different kind of meanings and ideas about what these are. But this is how, in our secondary coaching space, we are really defining these terms and really helping people think about defining these terms with the people in their buildings. And again, the question about DL is always, what does it look like? What does this mean for me in my classroom? What does this mean for me in my school? Well, we're trying to provide some answers and help coaches really facilitate and support that at the elbow with teachers.
Jeff, do you mind if I interject real quickly?
Sure.
Oh, let me just also mention that when Jeff describes this at 3P Learning, he is a secondary literacy consultant, but when we think about disciplinary literacy, we think about it across all content areas. And so regardless of what classroom you would step into, this 3P learning is really the thing that we're striving for across content areas. I'll get to that more in a moment.
And so will I. So we'll be there together.
Sorry.
No problem. I appreciate it. So this is some of the work that we've been doing. We put out a newsletter every month of the work that we've been doing and the things that we're sharing. But we are regularly building capacity around the essentials with coaches. We're regularly building the capacity around DL and 3P learning. We're really striving to communicate with you if you have coaches and teacher leaders in this network. We're really striving to communicate with your curriculum directors really clearly about the work that we're doing. And we're really trying, again, to provide like evidence-based, research-based and backed approaches to this work that coaches can implement with teachers and talk to you about. So this newsletter, I think, does provide some of that. So just quick example, last month, we had Dr. Rachel Gabriel, author of Doing Disciplinary Literacy, talking to the coaches really with specificity about secondary literacy and some of these issues, right? We don't often get very specific about secondary literacy, and so adolescents deserve our specificity, and so we're talking about that kind of stuff and how it shows up and how to coach through some of these issues that we're confronting in secondary spaces. So I say all this to say, we are building the infrastructure to support your coaches and teacher leaders. We know we have a really robust and great infrastructure at the elementary level for this. We are working on it at the secondary level. So if you have coaches and teacher leaders who are like interested in this, send them our way. We'd love to have them. If you have coaches and teacher leaders who are already involved in this network, check out the newsletters that we send out and talk to them about some of the things that are in there. So the last newsletter, Dr. Gabriel's presentation's in there. We've got some links to some coaching resources that might be really helpful as you and your coach develop that building leader coach relationship and you have and grab a instructional coaching vision. So we're hoping that we can provide that for you. And again, if you have teacher leaders and coaches in the network, chat with them about it. If you don't, let them know, and we can get them hooked up with all the things that they need. All right, switching gears a little bit. We hosted the Thinking Pro folks a couple of weeks ago for a webinar. It was on a Friday, so we know that can be a little bit hard to get to. but we did want to make the webinar available to you. Thinking Pro is really, as we kind of continue on with this 3P theme, it's really a project-based learning supplement and curriculum that you could use with students in a variety of different ways. So what Thinking Pro asks students to do is use a local issue that they care about to dig into using a lot of the project-based learning tools that we know are really effective and great at getting kids invested and engaged in their learning and getting them to read, write, think, speak, and listen in all the ways that we want them to. Um, so again, many ways that this can be used. One of the ways that the Thinking Pro folks have put it out there that it can be used is if you're looking for something like in a tier 2 space in your MTSS work, Thinking Pro is might be a great answer for you. Watch the webinar, see what you think. The link is there, and then the password to get into the webinar is there. But if you're looking for things in that space, you're looking for something supplemental, looking for something tier 2, this might work for you. But again, watch the webinar, see what you think, and see if that approach is aligned with yours. All right. I want to talk just briefly here about writing and some of the things that we're doing around adolescent writing. We know that writing is a local concern, a statewide concern, and a national concern. We know that kids need to write more often for more purposes and more audiences. And we're thinking about ways to, again, build infrastructure and support that happening. Because we know the writing demands that kids are facing today are going up and up and up. But the interest in writing and the skill level in writing is not probably where it needs to be. So we don't want to reduce the writing demands. We don't want to, take out all the great ways that writing can work for kids. But we do want to increase their interest and skill level so that they'll do it more and that they can continually get practice. Um, and in doing so, we're also hoping to build up writerly identities with kids and make sure even that teachers have strong writerly identities so that they can help kids develop their own strong writing identities. So we're really thinking about writing. We know disciplinary writing continues again to be an area of concern and need. And the only way to get better at writing is to write, and the only way we'll write more is if we feel good about it, and we do that. So we're thinking about this, and one of the ways that we're thinking about this, we are thinking about this through peer-to-peer learning, and this is right along with our 3P initiatives. We are thinking about peer writing centers. Peer writing centers are spaces where students get to work with one another on building their writing skills. And this can really work across disciplines and across different kinds of writing and across different kinds of genres, audiences, and purposes. There are a lot of research-backed, research-supported ways that peer-to-peer writing centers can really enhance all the student writing things that we were talking about on the last slide in terms of identity and efficacy and ability. And you can see all that research there. I'm happy to share that with anybody. But I think one of the messages we're really strongly trying to send is that everyone is a writer and that we are not going to use writing as a gatekeeper. Writing is not an inaccessible thing for folks. You can be a writer if you want to be, and everybody hopefully should want to be a writer. We are really interested in doing all of this work. And again, this is right into 3P. So we want kids working with other kids to do some of this writing work that we're talking about in terms of, again, identity, efficacy, 3P, because we think that this is really powerful. We know that this is really powerful from the research, and we really think that this could be a really transformative initiative for you and your school. So we are launching a Wayne County Writing Centers project, and we're looking for a few schools that might be interested in learning more about writing centers and thinking about how they might implement them within their school day. And if you are interested in thinking about this and learning more about it and thinking about how it might fit in your space, we are going to hold an informational meeting on November the 12th at 10 a.m. So if you scan the QR code on your screen, you can register for this event. It's going to be pretty informal. We'll talk a little bit about, again, what writing centers are, how they work, and how they can work for you and be implemented in your space in a meaningful way. We'd love to see you there. Again, we're looking for some folks who are sort of willing to be models and go on this journey with us and really get this practice started in Wayne County. We've got a few folks that we're chatting with already and that are willing to take the plunge, and we'd love a few more people to join us on that journey. So if you're interested in writing and you're interested in 3P and you're interested in student achievement and engagement, writing centers are for you. All right, last slide, Michelle, for this section.
Sure. And I did want to point out too, if you're
Yeah.
listening to this meeting after the fact and you don't have access to that QR code, everything will be linked on our site and in the email that you received.
Hey, perfect. Thanks, Michelle. Last thing in this section, we are asking you, based on everything that we talked about and everything that Christy just talked about a second ago, to save the date, which would be May 28th, 2026. We are going to have a disciplinary literacies and action symposium, and we are really thinking about project, problem, and place-based learning across the disciplines that day. So we are going to bring this all together. We are going to show you what it looks like. We are going to have people from all over the place talking about how they're making this come alive, and there will be a lot there for you. We're still working out some of the details about where this is going to be, but it's going to be May 28th, 2026. Mark your calendars now. In future meetings, we'll continue to talk about this. We'll let you know where it's going to be. We'll get you a registration link, but for the time being, this is going to be a really powerful, amazing, incredible day of learning. No matter which disciplines you support, no matter where your interest lies. And this is a great thing to bring your instructional teams to. So please think about that and please mark this date on the calendar. More information to come, but May 28th, 2026 is going to be a really awesome day of learning and we think that having this at the end of the year and really thinking about like how you might use this going into the next year, 2026, 2027. We really see this as a launch. We really see this as a way for you to start that imagining and that visioning for the future and thinking about things that you could do. So save the date, May 28th, 2026. We are looking forward to seeing you, and we will have more information for you about registration and location in the coming weeks. All right, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Dr. Christy Hanby. Jeff Moore is also a math consultant with us, but I don't believe I don't see for sure if he was able to make it onto the call this morning, as well as Sharon Ramsey. I echo everything that Jeff says, and I don't, jotting all kinds of notes to myself, but all of these things are true in mathematics as well. This afternoon, and we've been getting information out as best we can. We are inviting people in to watch a film called Count It Out, where we really have to start thinking about mathematics and who has access to mathematics, who has access to the rigor of mathematics that's going to provide opportunity for them into the future. So on the first slide here, what I have is the instructional core, right? And in the instructional core, there are only really three things that we can manipulate in order to lead to greater achievement and greater engagement in any content area. And that is, what are the teachers doing? What are the students doing? And what materials are we using to get there? Those are the three things that you can work with when you're thinking about instructional leadership. Now, of course, there are systems that go around that, and there are coaches of support and all of that, but these are the three things that you can manipulate at the instructional core. So I just wanted, because I don't have anything to advertise necessarily, I wanted to offer a reflection tool around the materials. And so on the next slide, this is a tool that we have put together. There's a link to it in the slides. And the reflection tool really is on the left end. What do we mean by low rigor in mathematics? Sometimes rigor in mathematics gets confused for like being tricky problems, and that's not really what we mean by rigor. So what do we mean by low rigor in mathematics? But then also, what do we mean by high rigor mathematics? And it's really that high rigor mathematics space that we need to be in if we're going to start seeing year-over-year growth for students, and we're going to start seeing increases in achievement. And then if we go one step further without letting go of that rigor, what does it look like to be culturally relevant, to be engaged in authentic, meaningful curiosities in mathematics classrooms? And so I'm leaving this with you as a tool to think about 2 questions, and then you can reach out to us whenever you feel the need. Our contact information is on that previous slide. Here's the 2 reflection questions I'm leaving you with. What types of mathematical tasks are being asked of students in our school? And so if you look down those columns, which might be kind of hard to see on the screen right now, but we're giving you access to that tool. What types of mathematical tasks are students being asked of in our school? And when we watch Counted Out as a county this afternoon, we're really talking not even about getting to higher rigor, we're talking about getting to more engaging, culturally relevant, authentic, meaningful mathematics that matters to me and to the world that I live in. And then the equity question that you can use to reflect on this tool is, which levels of rigor or relevance do different students in my building experience? And so the equity question really is, do some of my students have access to rigorous or culturally relevant mathematics, but maybe others do not? That's a question of equity. And what we know is that we don't get better at doing grade level rigorous work unless we're doing grade level rigorous work. And so this is just a reflection tool for you. Because in the secondary mathematics space, we have a goal this year, which is to build capacity and provide instructional leadership. We need to develop more connections to secondary math teachers across the county. Last year in our secondary math leaders, we had a number of districts represented, but we also have a lot that we have not heard from or we don't have contact within the schools. And we want to provide opportunities, even if people can't make it to 4 days of learning, which we're doing for our Math Leadership Network, for short snippets of like brief virtual meetings, newsletters, things of that sort. So the final thing is, if you have secondary math teachers or department heads that you would like to see get connected to communications where they can perhaps access some flexible learning opportunities, some resources from ways of thinking about what is it that I'm doing in my classroom every day? There's a Google form and you can just send that out to your staff, or if this is the way you want to do that, just nominate some people within your building to be able to be on our math listserv so that we can do more of that asynchronous learning. You can also feel free to add yourself to that listserv. That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Ogiamwani, and I'm a science consultant at Wayne RESA. I also have a colleague, Nathan Spencer, who you may have worked with as well. We work with both secondary and elementary, and you can work with us for either one. So we have a couple things to share with you. The first is something called Open SciEd, which is an open educational resource for a full curriculum for middle school. It is available for high school as well. It's also being finalized for elementary, but we are specifically going to do an experience with middle school this year and just introducing this for people who might not have a middle school curriculum yet and would like to learn more about Open SciEd or consider piloting it. So we have set this up in the spring in May for 4 days, but it is not necessary for your participants, whether they be teachers or leaders or coaches. It's not necessary to come to all 4 days. What we've tried to do is set this up so that people aren't missing their classroom or their spaces too much. So 6th grade teachers who want to experience a 6th grade unit will come on the first day. If it's someone who wants to experience a 7th grade unit, they will come on the second day. If it's someone that wants to experience 8th grade, that's the 3rd day. And then the 4th day, we'll have everyone come back together as a full group and talk about the curriculum as a whole and how all of the units and the tools fit together and how we do that with students. So the entire curriculum for the teacher and the student material is entirely free and it's all online. But the workshop itself is being charged $200 so that we can cover lunches for you and also make sure that we have lab materials so that people who come on their unit day get to do hands-on physical labs that are right from this curriculum. So that is the first thing. There's a link to this more in the chat. So if you would like to go there, you can see more about it and how to register. The next thing that is super exciting to me and probably some of the other friends in this room, because it honestly has a tremendous amount of overlap with every subject, every content area that we have. There's something called the K-12 data literacy and data science learning progressions that have just been released within about the last month or so. And it is a way that if you would like to see how students can be using data literacy in their classes, any subject at all, it gives all kinds of information and then links to other things like lesson plans and ideas and things like that. So you can see what it looks like for every area. Sometimes when we think about data science or data literacy, which also comes up very much in the Counted Out video that's in math today, they think about how are we working as a school with data, or things like that. This is very different. This is looking at how do students, how are they able to deal with data, looking at graphs, charts, tables, data representations. So it's really, really useful. And so in order for us to help implement that, we are putting together a 5-day series where we will meet 1 day a month to come together for professional learning about data science and data literacy in all subjects K-12, focusing on those progressions. We'll focus on a different part of the progressions each time. And then in the second part of the day, we'll have collaborative work time where we're all working together to help create things or find things that we can use with our own classes, students, content, etc. So this I expect to be a really powerful time where we can learn about what this looks like, and just see how students of every level can be looking at their world around them and understanding all the pieces and saying, how do we count that? How do we show that? How do we represent that? How is that related? It does not have to be just science. It's really powerful for every subject area. So there is a flyer for that as well, and I would love to see you sign up. You also will get to receive some materials there and some really great books that we've ordered that help you see how to do this with students. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Sarah Jones, and I'm one of the other literacy consultants at Wayne RESA. Today, we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about coaching and about some resources that we can offer you as you think about defining your role or defining the role of your literacy or your math or any of your instructional coaches. You can take a moment and read this blog from Diane Sweeney with your instructional team and think about things that stood out to you in ways in which you will define the role of your instructional coach, from building those relationships with your instructional coaches to defining more exact understandings around what that leadership and coach's role can look like. And then also, we have a template here for you to also utilize as you plan to have your principal coach meetings, and just a cadence in how you can do that and what it's for and how you can maximize that. And then just as you think about all of the different ways that Wayne RESA can support you, just keep in mind that we are here to help you to identify coaching programs and strengths, provide several professional developments around what you need, creating systems that can be utilized in your buildings and your districts, and just overall helping with data collection and really understanding what we need to do to have an effective coaching system within your district. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Taraskevich. I am an assessment accountability consultant. So, Michigan Department of Education have updated the state testing calendar for spring 2026. So it is released here. There are no changes to MSTEP or My Access. The changes come here with your PSAT. You can see here they have added a week. So it closes now on 4/30. The start date is still April 6th, closing at 4:30. And the new WIN work readiness assessment, starting on 4/6, will also run 4 weeks. So right around the same time, those windows will coincide. So it also has a link to all the important dates have been released. Those are all coming out, and the 3-year calendar for spring 27 and spring 28, those are all linked at the bottom. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, as many of you know, the work keys will be replaced this spring with the new online WIN assessment. This is the new work readiness assessment. It will all be online unless you have a paper pencil waiver. So the access to the WIN portal is anticipated for January. The test management and the test platform will be on the same one platform for students and test management for the testing staff. Access for test coordinators will be through your OEA contacts. So make sure that is updated. You can check that in your assessment registration tab on OEAA. That is updated through your EEM, so make sure your EEM is up to date with your testing information. Test coordinators will assign testing staff. There is going to be no establishment or managed participation for WIN. So in the past years, there's always a managed participation for work keys in order to get your materials delivered. You will not have to do this. Everything will be through pre-ID in OEAA. Students will be pulled in through your MSDS, through your December count. So you want to make sure that your December count is accurate. That enrollment will be pulled into pre-ID, and then pre-ID will open up in January into OEAA. There are 3 sections of the test. You have your reading, your math, and your data sections. It will be a 3-hour test. Students do not need to test all sections in one sitting like they do for the SAT. They can test any section in any order on any day as long as they finish within that window, that 4-week window. There will be a student tutorial available prior to testing. Students will need a test ticket with a login and password. Headphones will not be required, so you do not need to have those available. Online calculators are embedded for the math section, but they can also use a handheld calculator if that is, if that's what they choose. There was a WIN and MDE webinar last week, so the slides and the recording is available and linked there. They are also having a technology coordinators webinar coming up on November 13th. That is linked there. The registration is linked there. They have more upcoming webinars and trainings. That whole list is linked there. They have office hours available since this is a transition, and they have all the important dates. Those are also linked there. And then some updates for College Board PSAT. The intent to test window is opening. It opened October 27th. It will close November 19th. Most schools are auto-established. If you have 2 criteria, your EEM is updated, and you've tested at least 5 students in the last 2 years under any of those PSAT, SAT tests. All other schools, if you're not auto-established, you'll receive an email asking for your intent to test. Check your junk mail. A lot of the College Board emails go to the junk folder until you make them a contact. So you're usually automatically auto-established. You can check your testing intent to participate in OEAA. Again, under your assessment registration tab, it will show you if you're going to test yes or no. SSD updates, there are 2 new supports. One is not new, but I'll explain. The 2 new supports, EL text-to-speech for math only, that is new this year, and then EL math test only, that is for just taking the math section for English learners that are new to the country. That is not new, but in the past, it was not a college reportable score. They could take it, but then students would not get a college reportable score. This year, they do get a college reportable score if they take just the math section. So that's new. To request that, they have to go into SSD and then go to the EL supports to request that. There are some important dates that are coming out, as I said. The interactive checklist will be released December 1st, and then the pre-ID opens the 5th, and then your test day toolkit, all of those will start coming out in February. There is a district test coordinator webinar on November 16th at 10 a.m. The link to register is there, and then a full list of all the webinars that are opening for the spring 2026 are linked there in the bottom link. Next slide, please. We do have 2 sessions that we are hosting through Wayne RESA for iReady and NWEA. So we have leveraging your iReady data. We have 4 sessions available on November 5th. We have it sorted for experienced users and new users, so 4 sessions there. And then November 18th, we have 2 sessions to choose for NWEA, again, new users and experienced users. There is a link there to a s'more and then the direct link for the registration. So if you are looking to use some of your benchmark data and you want to look at your reports and how to use that data, the link is there. And then accountability updates. The Michigan School Index, the 24-25 results are coming soon. Those reports will be posted on the My School Data Portal. We're anticipating November. Sometimes it goes into December. We don't have an exact confirmed date at this point. There will be a 1-week preview window, and then it will be public released. You must have a login with access to the preview data and the accountability data to view that data during the preview window. If you need help with your login, you can contact me. My email is there. I have directions on how to create a login and an account, and then the authorized user form that must be filled out for that account. With this release, there are new identifications for comprehensive support, targeted support and improvement, and then potential early releases. And then they have released the 24-25 toolkit with some resources. And then we have the My Student Voice survey. The 2026 spring sign-up has opened. The link is in the top right. This is a statewide consortium for perception, student voice perception data. They have added educator voice data and parent or guardian perception data. So this is data around SEL, belonging, and engagement survey. It's a quick 5 to 10 minute online survey. It's for grades 5 through 10. Again, students, educators, parents, guardians. It's translated into multiple languages. You receive building and district level reports. And then there is support from Wayne RESA to help you once you get that data. We can do data review, analysis, and next steps. There are 4 windows you can see. So you can choose which window you want to do the survey. And last year, you can see the quick stats. They did 125 districts in the state for the student survey, 96 for educator survey, and 86 for the parent guardian survey. So it is growing. It's been growing each year. It is a statewide student voice survey. So again, the link to sign up if interested in is in the top right. It is a free survey provided from Kent ISD for the state.
Good morning. I'm Kaylin Willatten, a multilingual consultant at Wayne RESA. I'm going to forewarn you, I am dropping a lot of resources, not in the chat, but on, connected to the slide deck, which you have access to. And I just want you to know that our team is always ready and standing by to support you and be thought partners with you through all of these things, because just the few minutes that I'm going to show you all of this might be a bit overwhelming. Thank you. So last winter, colleagues at RESA, including our team, and many district representatives met to talk about safeguarding the rights and privacy of students and families, especially our multilingual learners and our multilingual families. As a group effort, we created this framework with a lot of resources, and it's a kind of guidance template that can be adapted to meet your district and school needs. We have been trying to disseminate this really widely since last winter. And so I would also like to have the principals have it now and see how it might be already being used in your district or how you might use it. Basically, the goal is to create safe and welcoming and equitable spaces where every student can thrive. It is around things like alignment and compliance with federal and state law. So what we mean by that, as an example, is leveraging FERPA as far as protecting student and family information, but also kind of letting families know if you do have some sort of student address book or that many schools create to help their community communicate with each other, what opting into that means for families and the lack of privacy around that, right? So anyway, lots of resources here that you can dig into. Next slide, please. MDE has also continued to support us as we continue our work. Again, I'm not going to go into detail about all of these things, but even though the current administration has rescinded some things we have depended on, such as something which you might be aware of called the 2015 Dear Colleague Letter, really like that Dear Colleague Letter was a list that helps you to know what you have to do, your responsibilities towards your multilingual learners. But all the legislation and court decisions that back that up are all still in existence. So we kind of lost our handy checklist, but everything else is still there. So MDE has some supports and is continuing to build some supports as we are here at RESA as well. A couple more supports coming from MDE. This second one was very exciting to me. This just came up at the Special Populations Conference last week. A resource to support students who might be separated from parents due to deportation proceedings. It's really about creating a plan and a protocol for your district on very many levels. Again, you can take a look at that resource, and we stand by here at RESA to support you as you think things through as far as district and school policy might be concerned. Also, some of the things that one of the links that we created statewide from different people from ISDs, which is actually linked in our student rights document that you could see earlier, now lives at the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center. It's going to be housed there, and so you have the link there as well. MDE has also created an administrator's guide for English learners with again, a lot of links attached to that. But if you want to get into again, district and school responsibilities and supports for multilingual learners and their families, that is a great place to do it. It is not just from the district level, but also there are a lot of good school level resources as well. So that was recently created, and that is also available to you. I wanted to bring this up just because I think it's important that all stakeholders know this. We have a new home language survey on the enrollment form that had to have started this year. If it didn't, it should start tomorrow. But they changed the questions on it. We think they are much better. And you can see there on the left what the home language survey must state verbatim on the enrollment form, and that's whether your form is printed out or whether it's digital. MDE has all this in 19 different languages, and those are also linked there. So this is the beginning step when someone who might be a multilingual learner enrolls in your district or in your school. So this is important information for everyone to know. Next slide, please. So I wanted to spend a little bit more time here so you know what English language development services should look like, or should is a strong word. Guidance around well, there are requirements and then guidance around the different ways of carrying out these requirements. So in Michigan, we have required English language development minutes for our multilingual learners. For students who score at levels 1 to 1.9, or level 1 students, they should be receiving 60 minutes a day or the weekly equivalent from a certified teacher, right? For multilingual learners at all other levels that get services, that's from 2.0 to 4.7, they need to be receiving 30 minutes a day or a weekly equivalent. That ends at 4.7, in case you're not aware, because WIDA Access, the state mandated assessment that all multilingual learners take each year, the exit criteria is to exit with a 4.8 composite, and that's why it stops there. So for this, and I'm going to talk about that designated and integrated ELD on the next slide in just a moment. For this, right now, there is a report that needs to be submitted. That report at the moment is attached to the Section 41 application. So when districts apply to use their Section 41 funds this year, they will be required to submit to MDE a staffing plan. So what kind of minutes are the students receiving? Who is serving them? And how within 4 years do you plan to meet this requirement, right? There is an ELD staffing calculator to help you with that. Again, the ins and outs of that, our team can support you with and talk to you about that. If you are not accepting Section 41 funds, and please, please, please accept them. But if for some reason your district is not, it does not make this requirement go away. It's just where the requirement lives as far as submitting the staffing report, because the funding is for multilingual learners. If you do not accept them, I am not sure at this point where you would submit that report, but it does not take it, it does not give you leeway, say, oh, well, we're just going to, provide fewer minutes for our multilingual learners. And I would also like you to know that the way these minutes were determined was MDE looked at Office of Civil Rights settlement cases around multilingual learners from the last 20 years. And to see when they would enforce that, reasonable progress and reasonable amount of time, and all those different kinds of phrases that can be found in federal guidance, what that actually meant on the ground. And what they determined was this was the minimum that they were requiring when they went into districts. So next slide, please. So I just want to give you a very brief overview, which again, we can support you as you delve deeper into it, on different ways to provide these service minutes. So very often in districts, students either have a separate class or are pulled out in small groups. And just incidentally, if you do use that staffing calculator, it's kind of built around that small group model, not because that is the best model for students, because it's not, but because it is the most prevalent model throughout the state, right? So that kind of service is required for students at level 1, because when you have newcomer students at the beginning of their journey into English language proficiency, they are going to need that really dedicated time that we call designated ELD, or designated English language development, right? Now, they can also receive some of their time in integrated ELD, and in general, for students certainly at level 3 and above, and a lot of times even levels 2 and above, really, really benefit from integrated English language development. And what we mean by that is when basically they are learning language along with content, that everything is fully integrated. What could this look like? Well, you do need certified teachers for this. So it might be one teacher who is dually endorsed with either an ESL or a bilingual endorsement. That would be the NS endorsement or the Y/whatever endorsement for the bilingual endorsement. And they are responsible for both standards, the ELD standards and their content standards in their course. And then there's the model of co-teaching, where you would have the certified language specialist or ELD specialist who is certified with the NS or the Y endorsement, along with the teacher who is certified in the content area. Obviously, the amount of minutes that students need to receive is a challenge, but I would also stress looking at this challenge as an opportunity to rethink the best way to provide services for students. Because short of having a dual language or a two-way immersion program, co-teaching in research produces the greatest effect for both content and academic success for multilingual learners and their English language development. I would also like to stress that even if you have someone who is already endorsed as the ESL endorsement, but I don't know, maybe hasn't used it in 10 years or something, and then telling them, guess what? Now you're duly certified. So now you're going to get a lot of multilingual learners placed with you, and you're going to teach science to them, and you're going to combine this. You can do that, but of course, not leave them alone on their own. They will still need time to collaborate and really work this out and what this should look like with other teams and other people in your district. So again, this is a very short overview, and we stand ready to support you with all of this. Meaningful access to core content is the responsibility of everybody at Tier 1. That means that students have to understand, have an entry pass into the content and into the academic tasks, no matter what their language of English language proficiency. So that includes newcomers or level 1 students. And they have to have scaffolded output or linguistic accommodations or scaffolds to help them demonstrate what they know. That is not fully what integrated ELD is, though it provides a part of that. We offer, for instance, at RESA, a lot of SIOP, Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, courses and other kinds of PD around that. And that is really geared towards some English language development and a lot of meaningful access to core content. But you do need for integrated ELD certified teachers, and that can also be done by them getting their certification as they're working on that job. So we have a lot of different schemes around tuition reimbursement that we can talk to you about as well. So a lot of this lives on this Padlet. Again, many resources there as well. For program evaluation, one of the big, we always focus on several of the Title III monitoring indicators for that. One of the biggest ones that MDE is focusing on this year is Indicator 18, which we have lovingly termed Comprehensive High School. And we call it that because it is really a huge indicator. There's so much involved. But think everything from transcript evaluation and class placement, equitable access to all sorts of extracurricular and curricular activities and different classes, and pathway to graduation. There are some other things around this, like there have been changes in the pupil accounting manual that assist with this that I am not going to talk about today, but we should be talking about in November and December in more detail. But if you'd like that information now, we can also provide that to you. MDE is going to have a 2-part webinar series, as you can see there, November 11th and December 10th, and that link will get you onto their document that if you scroll to those dates, you have registration links for that. And we highly recommend having someone at your school sign up for that as well. And just finally, you can use that link to see all of our upcoming professional development. Anything that is virtual that has a cost associated with it is free and no cost to everyone in Wayne County. And you would use that code WCML 2026 at checkout. Thank you so much. And please reach out to us because I know that was a lot. Have a great day.
Good morning. I am Judy Bowling, the Instructional Tech and Library Consultant here at RESA, and I believe I am the last section. I just want to give a couple of updates that our annual MakerSTEM Summit registration is now open, both for attendees and for people submitting a proposal. If you're not familiar with this is a very hands-on day of learning that centers around maker-centered learning and STEM education. So we would invite you and any members of your staff that might be interested in attending. And then along with that, we also, if you're not aware, we do have a MakerSTEM lending library and with a new URL, so the link is there. But just to make you aware of this, because sometimes people borrow things, and we have things for K-12 that they can use in their classroom with students, but sometimes they also borrow them if a school or district is looking to or is considering purchasing something and they want to try it out before making the purchase. So wanting to make you aware that we do we do have that. And then McCall is hosting their annual Student Technology Showcase. Again, it's K-12. And so if you have students and teachers in your buildings that are utilizing technology in a way that is enhancing their learning and teaching, they are invited to apply to showcase that so that business leaders, representatives can see what's happening in our schools and classrooms. The deadline is Saturday, but also wanted to note that REMC is partnering with McCall, that they are offering up to $1,000 in support if that would help teams of students with busing and some of their other costs. For those that are familiar with the McCall Association, which is our ed tech conference and organization, if you've been a member, membership is free, but if you've been a member for years, whether you're current or have been a member, they are asking everybody to complete this form. They are updating their membership database. Through the years, people have maybe had multiple accounts in there, or they're no longer there. So you are invited to sign up for the membership. And again, it's free. And then once you do that, they have started a new McCall community that you can engage in conversations and sharing of resources and ideas. So would invite you to do that. So many of you are probably familiar with the REMC Association, but if you have not looked at any of their resources in quite some time, I would invite you to do that, because they have spent a lot of time to update a lot of their resources. I highlighted just one here that I thought might be helpful to you in your role, that offers suggestions, ideas, resources, reflections around presenting, oral presentations, staff meetings, and whatnot. This is one of many resources that are on their website. So again, if you have not looked at the REMC website in some time, I would invite you to do so. And again, this is one example of many resources that they do have available. And then lastly, REMC Save, which many of you might be familiar with, but I wanted to highlight it here, that if you're not familiar with it, it's provided as a service of the REMC Association, where they provide large volume contracts for a variety of educational resources. It's gone through a competitive bid process, which saves you time and money. But many people think of REMC Save perhaps with just office supplies and paper products type things, but I wanted to highlight that they also have support for software like Google. And so most districts are Google districts. The pricing structure for Google has recently changed this summer. It used to be that with so many students, staff members were free, didn't have to pay a license, and that has now changed so that every member using Google does now need a license. There is a link here that gives some additional information about it, but wanting to make you aware, if you're using Google and not capitalizing on the savings you can get from REMC, there is discounted pricing for those licenses, and those are highlighted here. So again, bringing it to your attention that, again, REMC Save can be a time saver and save money, but is not limited to office supplies. And if you ever had any questions about any of that as well, that can be directed to me. And that is it.
So that brings us to the end of our October instructional update meeting for secondary principals. We hope you find this helpful. Please know there was a lot of information. You all have access to all of the slides and resources, and feel free to share with colleagues or staff that you feel that is relevant. Those who are registered will get a recording and the slides once again. We hope you found this helpful. If you have suggestions for future meetings, we're happy to take those suggestions and feedback. Please just let us know. Have a great day.